Hello, dear friends. Today is a very, very special day, and I would like to confess to you that it's one of the most happiest days in my life. Today, I, together with Ani Schnarch, uh, arrived to Kibbutz Eilon, the place which we missed so dearly last year, and it's a very special feeling to be back home. And another reason to be happy is that today in the masterclass we will play two very talented young ladies. One is coming from Germany and another coming from Egypt, from Cairo. And this is for the first time we have students who coming from nearby country, our neighbors. So, and this is a really example and hope that through music we will continue to strengthen the peace in our region. And the third reason to be happy, of course, it's a great privilege for me to introduce wonderful and outstanding Israeli violinist and pedagogue Shmuel Ashkenasi, who will conduct this masterclass. Hello, Shmuel.
Shalom, shalom. אז אני מזמין את סלמה, I'm inviting Salma to come and play. I think you're going to play Mozart Concerto, first movement. Hello, hello. Salama.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
It's so nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you too, really. It's a pleasure.
So you want to play the first movement of the A major concerto?
Exactly, yes.
Wonderful. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You really play very, very well. There are so many things that I like about your playing. But we have very,
Thank
very
you.
little time, only half an hour, and so I will only speak about what I would do differently, okay?
Mhm.
But I really
Okay.
like so much of what you do. The first thing that
Thank you.
I would recommend very much is that you try to use a very, very much better edition, because
Mhm.
much of what you do was not, I mean, the phrasing, the bowings were not written by
Mhm.
Mozart, they were written by some
Mhm.
editor. So,
Mhm.
Berenreiter is one of the best editions for Mozart. So, if you can get it, I
Mhm.
very much recommend it. For our
Mhm.
viewers, I'd like to tell a tiny story. It will take just 1 minute. About 35 years ago, uh, I discovered that one can buy a photostatic copy of the manuscript, Mozart's handwriting of the five concerti. And so
Mhm.
I bought it, and it cost me nearly $500, which was a lot of money in those days, but it was quite a treasure. Today on
Mhm.
Amazon, at least in the United States, you can get it for $60, so it's a real bargain. And you have actually Mozart's handwriting, and so it's like a religious person with the Bible. So I
Mhm.
recommend very much, if you can afford it, to get it. It's really beautiful, beautiful, something a treasure to have. So that's the first thing that I suggest, because you do many things that he didn't write, and it's really very difficult to improve on Mozart. It's true he was only 19 years old when he wrote this concerto, but he already was very mature, and considering that he lived such a short life, you know, it's already half of his life, less than half of his life when he wrote this concerto. So I really recommend. You can look at the piano part, and whatever is not the same in the piano part as in the violin part, it's usually better. If there are differences, it's better, because nobody edited the piano part, only the violin part. So a few things about grace notes. When a trill does not go to the neighboring note, traditionally you're not supposed to add grace notes. So ti da 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 dum pa da di da. You're not supposed to do ta da li da. And also, I mean, you play D sharp, and that the composer would have to write. If there is nothing, you need to play the key signature, which is D natural. You understand? So I would just do the trill only if the note goes to the neighboring note, either above or below. I would add grace notes. Also, when the note before a trill is the upper note of the trill, that trill I recommend not to start from the upper note. Do you understand? So,
Yes.
like in the introduction, you have da da dee da da dee, so tired da da da, not da 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 da. But that's exceptional. Normally, you do start the trills from the upper note, but if the note before the trill is the upper note, I suggest not to start it. Yeah, as far as your playing itself, it's very beautiful, very elegant, and extremely well in tune. I'm very impressed. One thing that I would very much suggest is that if you look in the mirror when you start, you will notice that every note you start the vibrato late. And with rare exceptions, I think it's not a good habit to allow to be in your playing. And so what happens is that you put the finger and then vibrate, rather than vibrate first and then put down the finger of a hand that is vibrating. So you can see that in the mirror, you can see what I hear, that every note, the vibrato starts a bit late. And so I urge you to fix that and to vibrate consistently. It doesn't mean to vibrate more, it just means not to start the vibrato late between the notes. In general, I feel that the classical style ought not to be too expressive, but rather elegant and graceful. And many times I feel you are doing that, but other times I think that it's a little bit too hot, too expressive, rather than graceful and elegant. And so I would go in that direction when you play classical music. When you play romantic music, you can be very passionate, and many more contrasts. You can vibrate more and less. You can play louder and softer. But when you play classical music, I suggest that the key is grace and elegance and refinement. Yeah. So why don't you start again, and I'll try to be a little bit more specific.
Okay.
You understood everything, yes?
Yes.
You understood everything. Okay, very well. Very well, very well. Excuse me. Yeah. I recommend that when you start at the beginning, try to land your bow like an aeroplane, not like a helicopter. You know, a helicopter goes down and then moves. aeroplane comes with some speed, so I would suggest that you move the bow onto the string and try to make a perfect landing, so that the passengers don't really feel a bump with the landing, but not like a helicopter.
Okay.
It means to start with movement.
Okay.
Yeah, and beware. Beware. You start the vibrato late. I don't think it's a good habit to be. You don't have to vibrate a lot. I don't mind if you hardly vibrate at all at the beginning, but it's not good to put the finger and play and then start the vibrato late. Usually, the beginning of the note is very, very important. It's most important. Indeed, when a pianist plays, the beginning of the note is all you have, and so it's very important that you start with vibrato. Not a lot of vibrato,
Okay.
but from the beginning of the note. Try.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure if you are aware that when you trill a whole step, you need to trill a little bit sharp the high note, but when you trill a half step, it needs to be very, very, very close. So your F sharp, I think, should be a touch higher, and your G should be a touch lower.
All right.
You can start just with the G before the trill.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I would play the F sharp a hair higher. That's it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I guess your edition doesn't have it, but in the manuscript, the E has a wedge on top of it, and so it needs to be slightly detached. There is a wedge on top of the E. It's like a staccato. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have it here.
Yeah. I mean, I suspect that your edition is not ideal, especially because of the bowings that you do. So far, you did very well, but when you play da da dee da da, it's not supposed to be slurred to the E. But there are many, many, many things
Also,
that
it's
you do
supposed
that are not.
to.
Yeah, but there are many things that you do that you slur many things. Ta 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 ka tam. There are two slurred notes and two separated notes, but you slur four notes. It's not quite original. There are many, many things. So I urge you, look in the piano part, and if it's different from your violin part, it's better. And if you can get access to Bernreiter, that's even better. And if you can get access to the manuscript, it's best.
Okay.
Okay?
So where should I start from?
Da dee da 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 da.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what an appoggiatura is?
No.
It's a note that does not belong to the harmony, and when it occurs on the beat, it's called appoggiatura, which means in Italian to lean on. So when you play it la da da ti da da, it is the note of tension, and it deserves more vibrato, more bow speed, more bow pressure than the resolution, which is a note that does belong to the harmony. La da 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 da. Da di da di da da. That too. It's a note that does not belong to the harmony. And when it occurs on the beat, it's called apototio. It doesn't matter what it's called, but it needs to be more expressive than the resolution, which is the note that it goes to. Okay? So try again.
Okay.
So do a diminuendo between the A and G sharp, and also a diminuendo of the vibrato.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, for the violin, he didn't write any dynamics, but for the orchestra, there is a forte from the second 32nd, and so you need to play a little bit louder the A, the high A. The orchestra plays da 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 and forte, and so you really need to. Yeah, he very often wrote dynamics to the orchestra, but not to the soloist. But we need to learn from it, his intention. So the high A may be a little bit stronger.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend that you don't change the bow on the trill, just on the grace notes.
Okay.
Now you can play the grace note up bow if you prefer.
Oh, okay. But then, like, I don't know how to get it to begin up. You know, like I played this.
That's fine. That's fine. And now up bow. No, no. Right, exactly, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Go on.
Okay. Continue. Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah, so I recommend that you don't slur ta da dee da tam down bow, and then you can do down and another down. And here I recommend not to play grace notes after the trill because it doesn't go to the neighboring note. Tam ba
So
dal dee da, no tal da da dee da. Exactly, exactly. Yes.
hmm.
And you know the title is Allegro Aperto. Do you know what that means?
Hmm. No.
It means open, which means extroverted. So full of enthusiasm. Uh, you know, it's extroverted, so it's not inhibited. So maybe more accents. Da
Okay.
da dee da dum. Yeah, you're playing it very very beautifully, but a little bit shy. Maybe you can play extroverted, aperto. Yeah.
Okay.
No, 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 no. Yeah, it's not. It's not. So it's not slurred. It's da dee da, da dee da 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 da, da dee da. It's not slurred. So I will try not to. That's right. That's right. So you know, it's really difficult to improve on Mozart. You know, he was really quite a genius, and so I suggest 99.9% of the time to follow his bowings as much as possible. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, start again, please. Yeah. Yeah, and in general, in in,
Yeah.
in general, unless you have a very good reason, the first beat is heavy and the second beat should be light. So ta da dee da dum pa, no dum pa, ta dum ta, and dum dum da. Try not to bounce on dum dum dum, da 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 da. You understand? The first beat is
Yes.
heavy and the second beat is light. There are many, many exceptions, but you need a good reason for the exception. Okay? One more time.
So from the Allegro.
Yes, please. Yeah, here too. Yeah, here too. The orchestra has a forte piano on the big beat. So ti yam pa, but you do ti dam pa. The second beat normally should be weak, not strong. So give an accent to ta dam pa, ta dam pa. You understand? No ti dam pa. Avoid the accent on the second beat. Yeah, and all the 16s are supposed to be separate. They are not slurred. Ta 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 ti da. They're all separate.
Or this also. This also is separated.
No, ta 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 is slurred. 2 and 2. Ta 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 ta. Yeah. You may
Okay.
consider to play the C sharp down bow. Ta 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 ta.
The C sharp. I'm sorry. I have some trouble with the C, and like, can
Yeah.
you say like
Do diez,
bemol
do
and diez
diez.
they know that?
Ta ta.
Yes.
The
Okay.
second note down bow.
I do that.
Oh no, sorry, I misspoke. Up bow I meant. Up bow, not down bow.
And then.
Yeah, and it means yeah, it means more vibrato on the first beat and less on the second beat. Ta dum pa, ta dum pa. You understand? The second beat should be more passive. The first beat is more active.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very, very sorry, but I'm very, very sorry, but we have only half an hour, and I just noticed that
Yeah.
it is already 10:30. So, yeah. So anyway, I
Yeah.
gave you
Okay.
some things to think about. But the most important thing is try to get a very good edition and to follow it. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah. It was so nice to meet you and to work with you.
Yes.
I wish you all the best. So we need to invite Eliane. Hi, Eliane.
Hello. So nice to
Nice
meet
to
you.
meet you. Yes. You're going to play the first movement of Ysaye number 4 sonata.
Yes, I have prepared the recording. I think it's going to be played.
Oh, okay. Very well. Yeah. Oh, hi. Very good.
Hi.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah. I will tell you only the things that I suggest to change, not everything else I like very much. First of all, the mordents, you know, the little snakes above the note, you are playing them like a trill. It's not a trill. It's just ta-da. And in my opinion, it should be before the beat.
Okay.
And so you shouldn't trill. It's just da 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 dee, da da. Yeah. And then you are playing the da da, but there is no staccato. It's supposed to be legato. Da 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 da. Yeah. And so I would suggest to play the D sharp with the fourth finger, but that's up to you. But you should try to play legato, not staccato. The very opening, you elongate the first note. I suggest to move towards the downbeat. Ta-da-da-da, ta-da-da-da. And it should sound like a triplet, not a group of four. Ta-da-da-da, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta-da-da-da, dee, da-da-da-da. You understand?
Yes.
Um, And generally speaking, when you can vibrate, you can save the bow, but when you cannot vibrate, you should draw the bow. So you did da 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 da, and then for the next four notes, you had maybe 2 centimeters of bow. If you can save the bow, ti da, and then draw the bow, da 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 da, you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why don't you try it?
Okay.
Oh, yes, and as far as intonation is concerned, when you play a single voice, in my opinion, you should play half steps much smaller. So C lower, A sharp higher, and the B perfect at the beginning. Da 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 da. Yes, and the D sharp higher. No. Yeah, yeah. You are doing ta 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 ta. Try to avoid that. Ta 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 ta. It's just a triplet and go to the downbeat. So a little crescendo. Ta 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 ta. Yeah. Ta da 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 is too fast. Ta da 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 da. Ta ga da ga da. Ta ga da ga da. Try to be precise with the rhythm. Yeah, your C natural is too high. Da 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 da, and your A sharp is too low. Put them very close to the B, so the C low and the A sharp high. It's good, but it's quite out of tune. Be careful. And try to emphasize the notes on the E string. E ta 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 ta. He da 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 da. Slightly emphasize the notes across the beat or on the E string.
Right from there.
Yes. Any place that's comfortable. Yeah, but it's really quite out of tune. Your B is already flat. E, ta. No. Your B is flat and the D sharp is very flat. No. It's not quite in tune. The B natural was flat. You really need to be very careful. When you play fast, maybe you don't hear it, that it's not in tune, but you really should clean it up. Okay, go on. Yeah, and you have the music in front of you
Yes.
right now. Yes, you will notice that he recommends that you use the whole bow on the low notes. Ti da di da da. There is a line, and of course you cannot use the whole bow, but it means to emphasize it and to use a lot of bow on that note. You know, he wasn't only a great violinist, but he was also the composer of this piece. So I think we should follow him as much as possible. And if you don't release the sound on the G string and don't vibrate at all, then it's not a very attractive sound. So you need to very slightly release, ti da di da ta, release and vibrate a little bit the notes on the G string. Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, the fermata is not on the B and F sharp, it's afterwards. So you need to hesitate and wait and then start. You understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And try to be precise with the rhythm. Ta 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 ti la ga da ga da ga da 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 ta la da. And I recommend to lift the bow and move it towards the frog for the B, not to use so much bow on the B. It doesn't deserve. Da 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 da. You're be careful. Your C is too low for the open E. You really need to tune it very vertically and perfect. And it's written 30 seconds, so ta da da da. You're playing ta da da ta la da da. There are 30 seconds, and I recommend not to break the chord down, but to play it together.
Okay.
No. It is da 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 da. No, the movement needs to be, in my opinion, before the beat. Da 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 la.
Okay.
No ta da 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 la. Yes. No. You're not counting. It is da 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 da. You're not counting. It's not precise rhythmically. And on the A and G, you need to use very little bow. You're using the whole bow. It just has too much bow and it sticks out. Dee, ta, ta. No. You're too early. Ta, ta, li, ta, ta, ta. I think you should hold on to the F sharp a little bit longer. Ta-da! And when he suggests a fingering 2 to 3, I think he is asking you to do a glissando. Ti, ya, da, da, da. Yeah. And your rhythm is all over the place. Ti, ya, da, 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 da. Ti, ya, da. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it says tranquillo or something like that. Surely it doesn't mean to play faster, but you're playing faster. Dee da dee da 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 dee da dee ya da da. Yeah, the same tempo, calmly or a little bit slower would be fine, but not faster. Yeah, you play really beautifully and very well, but it's not quite in tune. You really need to perfect your intonation. And if you miss a note, I think you should be very tolerant and very forgiving. But all the other notes really need to be perfect. He, ya, da, da, ti. Many, many notes are not quite in tune. So be very, very careful. Yes. And you vibrate randomly. Uh, Many notes have vibrato, many notes don't have vibrato, and you have a very beautiful sound when you vibrate, and not so beautiful when you don't vibrate. So do vibrate consistently. I'm not suggesting that you vibrate more, but consistent, okay? I, uh, I recommend not to play open A, to go on the D string, so that it is consistent on 3 strings, and you really play beautifully, but not in tune. You should really improve your intonation and perfect it. Intonation is the enemy, and nothing really can be beautiful that is not in tune. Okay, go on. No, I think it is. I think it's up bow.
Yeah, sorry.
Your your E sharp is too low. No. Your B is too high. No, higher E sharp. Higher E sharp. When you play single voice, you need to play what is called expressive intonation. It means half steps are very close. So E sharp to F sharp, make it very, very close. F sharp perfect, E sharp high. But your C sharp was too high. It needs to be perfect, not a high note. I believe there is no staccato. Ta ta dee ya da. There is no staccato. And also, I don't believe that he suggests to play it on the G string.
Okay.
Because if you play it on the G string, then there is a big hole when you go to the E string. So I suggest to play it ta 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 on the D string. Ta ta dee ya da. Yeah. And I recommend to play the last G sharp with 2, and then on the E string, the A and F sharp, open A and F sharp. At least that's what I recommend to play. And your F sharp, yeah, your F sharp is too high. You need to adjust to the open A because it will not move. Intonation wise, your F sharp is a little bit too high. Make sure that it's perfect with the A. It's too high. It's still too high. Right. And the mordant is before the beat. Da 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 la da, and play in tempo. Da la da da. Yeah, and I recommend to play the C sharp with the third finger. Da 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 da, then the third finger, much better. You really play very well. I feel that you sustain much too much. Especially the first beat should almost always have a diminuendo. So ta 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 ya da ta. You sustain too much. Diminuendo. I think you kind of changed his bowing.
It is a suggestion here, but maybe I should do it different.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, as I said, he was not only a great violinist, but he was the composer of this piece. So, to the extent possible, I would do what he wrote. The only exception that I do is when he suggests to use open E. Many times I don't use open E because he used gut E string. We use steel, and it's a very different animal. And so sometimes in this piece also, when you play da 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 dee da da, when you play it on the A string and E string, he suggests to play open E. I don't do that because the open E is too shrill, too loud. So I play that on the, you understand, the fourth finger and the open 1, 2. I do change that, but because our E string is steel and it's quite shrill, so okay. Da, 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 da. Yeah, try to release more. Da, 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 dee, ya, da. Your mordant is too far, too fast. Da, 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 da. your D sharp was too low.
Mhm.
I think it's much longer than that. I think it's much longer than that. Yeah, I think you should. I think you should hint a musical shape, not play everything the same. So a very very slight crescendo to the beat, to the downbeat, and then a slight diminuendo. Da 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 dee, da da. But the key is hint, so don't do very much, but not all the same. Yeah. Yeah, you know, one thing that I very much recommend is whenever you shift, whether for transportation or for expression, you need to involve the bow. Sometimes you do, most of the time you don't. And because of that, your shifts are not always successful. So you really need to involve the bow. Here, you want to hear the shift, so you have to release the pressure of the bow while you're shifting. Yeah, your C natural is too high, your A sharp is too low. You really need to play half steps very, very, very small, except half steps that are called by the same name. Like F, F sharp, that's a big half step, or B, B flat, those are big half steps. But all the other half steps, when you play a single voice, should be very, very small. So lower C and higher A sharp would be much more beautiful, I think. Yeah, and here I recommend that you use less bow for the pickup and more for the beat. You do the opposite. So F sharp, little bow, G, more bow. Da, 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 da. Yeah. No, the opposite. Little bow on the F sharp and more on the G. Yeah. Many of your double stops are not perfectly in tune. You need to tune them differently than when you play a single voice. When you play double stops, you need to tune them vertically. They need to be very much in tune with each other, okay? And many of them are not. So try to be quite perfect. And do try to avoid the portamento. That is a cancer of string playing. Try to avoid, you understand, to stop the bow between the notes, okay? Yeah, I guess we need to stop. I see that it's already past 11 o'clock. It was really a pleasure to meet you and to work with you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was very
It's
nice.
my pleasure. You really play beautifully. Okay. Vadim, goodbye.